Hello everyone. The title of this video is Competition of Strong Women, but I could have said Strong Women Unite, because as you see, there are a lot of conjunctions of feminine archetypes, all kinds of feminine archetypes between August 30th and September the 4th, and even afterwards, but I'm going to look at those 2 dates. And the fact is that if we look at it from the viewpoint of modern day feminists, there's a huge problem with it because I used to be a feminist when I was young, about when I was 20 to 30 maybe. And then I realized that this again is a schism that we should not have. We need both sexes and we do need men. But the problem is, the truth is that if we look at history, after the Vela cataclysm, which means that after the axis of the earth got tilted and and we had the seasons, so the whole life on Earth got really destroyed, and there was a new way of life that needed to be established. And for that, we needed the manpower of men. We needed their masculinity. They needed their strength and energy. And slowly, the so-called matriarchal societies transformed into patriarchal society. And true, if you look at the two archetypes in astrology, the moon and Venus, those are the two feminine archetypes, really there's no more. These became hermetically separated in patriarchy. If you look at the feminine, the goddess energy has both sides of sexuality, because sexuality has two main reasons. One is procreation and the other one is pleasure. So what they did was they took the pleasure aspect out of the goddess and put it into Venus, and they took the reproduction aspect of the feminine and gave it to the moon, and then made sure that those two archetypes are very, very, very hermetically separated. And that is what happened over the centuries, actually, over the millennia, really. And the fact is that nowadays we can reconcile both. And actually, I think that modern day feminism should really be based on reconciling the two. Instead, what I see is that there are these vehement social justice warriors who are accepting feminism as some sort of weapon. And then there are people who try to go more after the more traditional roles of the feminine and trying to establish that. This period is interesting because here in Hungary, where I'm mostly located, we have the school starting season. So actually, school usually starts on the 1st of September, but now, since September the 1st is a Sunday, it is starting on the 2nd. And so we have a new school year, a new academic year. And this is the period when you have children or grandchildren that you are really very, very busy, super busy, because of course you need to buy stuff and you need to prepare your children, all kinds of other things that you need to become a wizard really of the time, and it is really reflected in space-time moments. So let's take a look at what I prepared for you. And as I said, this is going to be the exact conjunction is going to be on the 30th of August. And the conjunction is the South Node, Juno, and Black Moon Lilith. And these two archetypes, Black Moon Lilith and Juno, are mutually exclusive ones, because Black Moon Lilith is the third turning point of the Lilith myth, when Lilith is already banished. So she is outside the wall, and she realizes, because she's clairvoyant, that there's a big change in the Garden of Eden. There's a new energy, Eve, the new feminine, but she doesn't have a soul because she was manufactured by Yahweh from one of the ribs of Adam. So it's a fabrication. It's manufactured and not created, and she doesn't have a soul. And if you don't believe me, then read some books written by various priests in the Middle Ages, who state that the feminine is inferior because we women don't have a soul because God didn't give us a soul. But it's not true, because Lilith, when she realizes that there's a new energy without a soul in the Garden of Eden, goes back in the form of the serpent and gives an apple to Eve. And apple in Hungarian is alma, and alma in Latin is soul. And the whole story can be understood in Hungarian, by the way, which is the most ancient of languages. Although some linguists try to push the Sanskrit, which is also a very, very ancient language, that it's the strongest and the most ancient, but actually Hungarian is the most ancient. It is what kept the most so-called ancient etymons. 67% of our language is ancient etymons. So a lot of concepts can only be understood in Hungarian, which is very sad, because it's a very difficult language. I don't think anyone should really start studying it at later in life. But Noam Chomsky, who is not just a philosopher, but also first and foremost a linguist, he was studying Hungarian at great length, and he was the one who stated a couple of things about Hungarian as a language. Anyhow, so let's take a look at the space-time moment. It's August 30th in the small hours at 5:36 a.m. right after sunrise. If you can see, the sun is just above the horizon. And there's a Sun trans-Pluto Vesta triple conjunction, but it's separating already. So here again, you have two competing feminine, Vesta, which is a high priestess, being alone, and trans-Pluto, who is Persephone, a very strong wife archetype. She is, of course, the wife. Trans-Pluto is and Persephone is the wife of Hades. So she is the lady of the underworld, and she goes freely, she travels freely between the upper world and the underworld, whatever she wants, while totally being committed to her husband, Hades, is Hades Pluto. So it's a very strange archetype, really. Here's the thing that we are going to take a look at in a second. Venus is at 1 degree Libra, 0 to 1 degree Libra. So she just moved from Virgo into Libra the previous day. And this is the degree of the Super Galactic Centre, which is one of the key celestial areas in transcendental karmic astrology. And it carries the dilemma of nothing is ever enough. And Venus there means that, yes, we crave for love, for money, for well-being, for all kinds of goodies that you can purchase on money. So it's like all kinds of craving energy also manifesting at the moment. Pallas Athena and asteroid Lilith are still conjunct, but in this case, there are two very similar archetypes. So here the competition doesn't come from the archetypes themselves, but from the energy pattern, because Pallas Athena, the wise girl, the goddess of wisdom, is still in Scorpio, while Lilith is already in Sagittarius. And Pallas Athena in Scorpio doesn't like to be there, for sure. I mean, this is a water sign, and wisdom doesn't like anything emotional. Actually, wisdom and the concept of reason and reasoning and cerebral behavior is very much linked to air, and air and water, thinking and feeling, are mutually exclusive psychological modes, so to speak. So here the energy pattern is what is actually opposing them. And Saturn is setting at that particular moment. So that is those are the patterns. Okay, we are going to look at this Juno Black Moon Lilith conjunction with Venus very close, and also the Dark Moon Lilith is already separating. So here's Venus at 1 degree, or almost 1 degree Libra. And as you can see, this is on the 30th of August. The South Node denotes the behavior pattern that we are bringing in for this incarnation. It is our survival kit. It is something that we are utilizing or trying to utilize whenever we are cornered or threatened. And Libra means some kind of finding an equilibrium, finding balance, reconciling problems, issues, opposites. That is what Libra is, which is practically, by the way, the sign of committed relationships as well. Because if you want to stay in a relationship, you need to compromise. And anything in Libra learns or knows how to compromise. So Black Moon Lilith is the archetype, the clairvoyant goddess, who realizes that something happened in the Garden of Eden and goes back there to rectify stuff. And Juno is the committed first lady, so she is the first lady. So actually Lilith and Juno are mutually exclusive archetypes, but they need to be reconciled. So there are two ways of behavior pattern, two ways of the feminine, which are now in this space-time moment either competing or trying to merge somehow. And on September the 4th, it's quite interesting. This is what we have. Let's go back to the 30th. And as you can see, the moon is still in Cancer. And about half a day later, it will move into Leo. 2.5 days later, it will move into Virgo. And as you can see, on the 4th of September is at the end, at 24 degrees Virgo. Conjunct Astrea, the karma breaker. This is the 5th of the asteroids. And it's the karma breaker and the destiny changer. So actually the moon is highlighting, merging with it, but also highlighting it. And as you can see, Venus, which was here in the 1st degree of Libra, has reached the South Node. And actually in 2 days, we'll be reaching Juno and Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith, it takes 9 years for the Black Moon to get to its natal position. And for Juno, 4.5 years. So these are very slow-moving archetypes. As you can see, in 4 days, Juno was actually kind of starting to leave the conjunction, and Venus was actually merging and reaching the conjunction. So by September the 4th, you have actually 3 feminine archetypes in Libra and 2 in Virgo, and these are merging. So actually, you can utilize it as a competition, but competition has its dangers, and it's much easier to try to reconcile the differing and the juxtaposed archetypes, because actually there's always something in us. Every little archetype is a part of us, and depends on our age, our circumstances, our behavior patterns. What are we playing actually? What is the archetype that we are showing to the world? But you can utilize all. So let's take a look at what these archetypes are in detail. This is the August 30th. These are the August 30th positions. So let's take them apart. The moon is the mother, and of course it is the spiritual essence in the natal chart, so your soul, your eternal soul. But as an archetype, she is the mother. Venus is the lover. And interestingly enough, they are both very, very strong considering their sign placements. And then Ceres is the nurturing principle, so nurturing, mothering, and food, and all kinds of dietary things, and eating disorders are linked to Ceres. And in Capricorn, she's the stern mother figure who is helping us to stay put and do what's due and what's right, what's diligent, and what's decent. And then Pulsathena, as I said, doesn't really feel too well in a motive sign in Scorpio, but at least she is able to look down, back, deeply into the issues and look behind curtains and veils. And in Juno in Libra is perfect. That's where she belongs, really. Asteroids cannot rule signs, but they can actually be happy in a sign, or actually they are more linked to energy patterns and elements than signs. But Libra is perfect for Juno, really perfect. She's the first lady, so absolutely perfect. And Vesta in Virgo is also perfect, because Virgo is the sign of putting things in order, to understand what is going on in the real world, to be practical, to be down to earth. It's also a cantankerous and picky, choosy energy pattern. But Vesta enables us to focus on those issues and put things in order. And Astrea also in Virgo gives us the potential to break all embedded karmic issues that are causing us trouble or misunderstanding or just disorder. And here are the three Liliths. Asteroid Lilith, which is at the very, very beginning of Sag, Dark Moon Lilith in Libra, and Black Moon Lilith in Libra. These are the three turning points of the lyric myth. If you go to my channel and you put in the three astrological Liliths, you will find quite a few videos on it. So you can actually take a good look at them separately. But just to refresh the memories of those who already know it, the asteroid Lilith denotes the first turning point of the myth, which is the revolt against injustice. Dark Moon Lilith is when Lilith utters God's unutterable name, Yahweh, and leaves paradise, and actually Yahweh curses her. So it's actually the taking upon ourselves the curse. It doesn't mean I will be cursed. It doesn't mean I curse you. No, it means the attitude that I will do whatever I damn well please, even if you curse me. So it's this attitude that I don't care, I will do it. And I know the dangers and I know the repercussions, but I still will do what I need to do. And then the Black Moon Lilith, which is the third turning point of the myth, is when it goes back into the Garden of Eden and helps Eve to receive a soul. So those are the basic feminine archetypes that we are working on this day. And there's a complex planetary picture. The most important portion of it is the cardinal T-square, because Dark Moon is opposite Chiron. Chiron is retrograding in Aries, and this means all kinds of wounds around war, fire, aggression, violence, all kinds of wounds that are linked to Aries. And interestingly enough, Chiron takes the longest to travel through Aries, 12 years. And then opposite it is Dark Moon Lilith, the acceptance of the curse. And at the apex is the moon. So actually our soul is being torn apart at this particular moment. But luckily there's also a mini platform right here. The base of the platform is the Lilith, Dark Moon Lilith moon square, cardinal square. And the top of the platform, where you can step up and say what you wish to say to others, is the Mercury Astrea semi-sextile. So actually how you transform your words in order to be heard. At the inner energy pattern are two sextiles. One is the Moon Astrea, and the other one is the Mercury Lilith, Dark Moon Lilith, of course. And you have these, so the platform is always this is a mini platform really, that you can actually step up and say what you want to say. It's kind of a soapbox, if you know what I mean. And you don't need to be in Hyde Park to have a soapbox, because you need to utter something or just voice something. And there's also a rose thorn, which is made up by a trine and the two karmic aspects, the quincunx and the semisextile, with Chiron, Astrea, and Mercury. Okay, it's interestingly enough, Mercury turned direct at a day earlier, so this is almost stationary Mercury. Okay. Here are the transcendental objects. The moon is conjunct Justitia, justice, and Athena. You know, this is another Pallas Athena energy, but she's more like the protector of Athens. Not just the wisdom energy, but the protection energy is there. And Pollux, which is Beta Gemini, but at the moment, Pollux is brighter than Castor, which is the Alpha star. And Pollux represents the suffering artist. And actually, it signifies the fact that in order to produce something, you need to sometimes really suffer, because through suffering, we understand basic natures of things. On Astrea, we have Berenike. Berenike is a self-sacrifice energy, and Hecate, which is the dark moon goddess, and Nagasaki, which is complete destruction. And on the dark moon, we have Gawain, the knight in shining armor. Okay, and there's also a very interesting complex planetary picture in the London chart, which is at 0 degrees Virgo. And as you can see, so that's the exact moment of the triple conjunction. And actually, there is this ground cross with ascendant, actually it's the mutable ground cross with ascendant, descendant, asteroid Lilith opposite Sedna. There's also a crown energy, which is slightly out of, this is partly dissociated because here's the crown. Sedna, creation through dissection, Venus, love, Lilith, revolt against injustice, and Neptune, transcendence and transcendental and esoteric things and universal love. But Neptune is in Pisces, so this would be a crown in air and fire signs, had it not been for Neptune, which is in Pisces. So actually, the energy is not perfect. And then Pluto is at the tip of the crown, and so those two main structures are putting into, turning into each other, and you can actually take a look and try to dissect it and see what else is there. There are a number of engines. There's also a if you take a look at the this opposition between the ascendant and descendant, and you have a boomerang, you have an angel wing. So there's all kinds of other configurations, but those are the two more. Those are the ones that create the rest. So the crown and the ground cross. And here are the transcendental celestial objects. On the ascendant, you have Hannibal, the general who was able to take his army across the Alps, and Regulus, Alpha Leo, which is, a couple of days ago, I had a video on the Sun conjunct Regulus, or aligned with Regulus, so you can take a look at what it is. Venus is at the Super Galactic Centre. Nothing is ever enough. Sedna is still on the Pleiades and on Babel, understanding others. Neptune is on Sheat, the beta star of Pegasus, which is one of the most important healing birds for suicide victims. And Lilith is on Toliman. Actually, it moved into Sag, but it's still aligned with Toliman. Toliman is the alpha star of Centaur, which is a southern constellation. You will never be able to see it from London or from the United States. You need to go to the southern hemisphere to be able to see it. But the whole constellation, Centaur, is, or Centaurus, is the healing world for karmic wounds, especially Toniman, which is the alpha star. And Erato is one of the muses. All muses, okay, she's the muse for erotic poetry, and all muses kind of are linked to channeling and are linked to divine inspiration. So that's the energy pattern. And as I said, this is about strong feminine, whether they compete or they unite. And we are all much better off if they compete, you would think, but I think that they are much better off if they are uniting. Sometimes you need competition, so that's true. Sometimes you need the competing energy in order to develop into something. That's true. And what is more interesting, by the way, is the fact that these archetypes are resurfacing at certain points in your life. And that is the competition. What am I allowing into my life at the moment? What is the strongest feminine portion in me? And if you take attention to what is happening to you inside and what is happening around you between August 30th and September the 4th, you might get some answers. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.